Aloha and welcome back to the Vin Man Show. Remember yesterday I told you I wanted to compare the Garden of Eden with Hawaii? Well, today I'm going to get right into it. I'm not going to do any more introductories that take me half my show. So to get started right away, everybody knows what the Garden of Eden is. That's where Adam and Eve were created. God put them in the Garden of Eden. And I know if you folks believe in evolution, hey, let's just save that debate for later. Just listen to my show, my take comparing Hawaii with the Garden of Eden today, and we'll debate it some other time. Or, write me a note. I'm happy to read what you have to say. But anyway, when God created Adam and Eve, and He put them in this beautiful garden, and He said you can eat and drink anything you want here, and go down to the beach, and and just all these fruit is growing on the trees. You just have to go over and pick it off, and the fish are jumping, and you can eat the fish, and anyways. And a lot of people think, well, yeah, I mean, okay, God created Adam and Eve, and then He said, okay, I'm going to put you in this garden, and you guys have fun. I'm going to take off, and I'll see you in a week or a month or a year, or I'll give you 10 years or 100 years, and I'll come back. No, God didn't do that. He never left them. He was always with them, like He's always with us. You go, what? God's always with us? Yes, He's always with us. Get that? I mean, it's like, okay, if you got a dog, and you said, okay, dog, now you're mine, and I'm going to put a little food over here, but I'm going to be gone for a week, and so you behave yourself, and don't tear up the house, and don't pee in the house, and if you're, hopefully you won't run out of food, and I'll be back in a week or two. No, you don't do that with a dog. The dog would tear the place apart, or starve to death, or get out, and you never find him again. So when God created man, he didn't create him to leave him on his own and do what he wanted to do. Well, although He did make us free spirits. So yes, we can do whatever we want to do. But if you do it God's way, you're going to be doing it the better way, and you're going to have a better life. And anyways, where am I going with this story? Oh yeah, I was going to compare Eden with Hawaii, and because we all know the story about Adam and Eve, where the tricky snake came in and talked Adam out of a actually, he talked Adam and Eve out of uh, being actually the the gods of Eden, actually being having dominion over the world. He talked him out of that, and because Adam and Eve gave up the right to the world, and they gave it up to the snake. We all know who the snake is. But anyway, it's just to compare, kind of relay that to Hawaii. So, back in the day when all the natives in Hawaii, they're having such a good time, their main day would be go gather a bunch of fruit off the trees. They'd go get some coconuts and bananas and then wild pineapples, and they'd head down to the beach and catch a bunch of fish, and go dive down and bring back some lobsters, and then they'd have a big luau, and everybody'd sit around and eat together, and then they'd go surfing and swimming and playing and singing, and they had ukuleles, and the girls would do the hula dancing, and every day was just a beautiful day. Let's down at the beach, and get some fruit and go down to the beach and have some fun, and everybody lived, pretty nicely there. No one, quarreled, and but then a merchant ship pulled into the port, and he came ashore, and the merchant businessman said, "Wow, look at this beautiful, lush place. Boy, we could grow a lot of sugar cane here, and we could have orchards full of palm trees, which would have coconuts and banana trees, and wow, we could sell them to the world for a lot of money. So he approached the chief and said, "Hey, chief, I want to buy some land, and I want to, plant, I want to clear out all this vegetation that's growing, beautiful, wild, you know, vegetation that's on Hawaii. I want to clear that out and put an orchard in, or I want to clear that out and put sugarcane in." And the chief said, "Yeah, what for? We don't need that. No, you're not going to tear up our land and do that." And he turned him down, which was good. And so the merchant went back to his ship and said, how can I persuade the chief? So he said, okay, I'm going to give him a gift. And so the next day he went back to the chief and said, "Hey, chief, if, I would like to buy some coconuts from you and some fish, so I'm gonna give you a couple cases of rum, a couple barrels of wine, and just for you to enjoy, just as a peace offering." And the chief said, "Whoa, thanks." And so, of course, they all drank the wine and partied on the rum, and their luau's got pretty wild, and at night, and they had, who the dancers got even wilder, and then they had the guys were doing the fire dancing, and until they passed out on the beach and slept it off, and then the next day they all woke up with hangovers. And they're going, "Oh man, that was terrible." And then of course the merchant came down at that time and said, "What's the matter? And you guys have hangovers?" He goes, "Oh well, here, hey, I got a remedy for that. Here's some coffee. Here's some coffee, and that'll help wake you up with a lot of caffeine." And oh, it tastes, and then does that taste too bitter for you? Well, let's put a little sugar, put a lot of sugar in there. So now you're drinking caffeine and sugar. And he said, "See, didn't that, yeah?" And they go, "Well, that did get rid of our hangovers. And so, yeah, maybe we can party again tonight on that, putting the wine in the coconut and drinking a bowl up." And then the captain said, "Hey, you know what? In the afternoon, when you're hot and before you start drinking alcohol, why don't you have a few Coca-Colas?" And they said, "Well, what's Coca-Cola?" And so he gave them some Coca-Cola. And back in those days, that's when they made Coca-Cola with cocaine. And so these guys are drinking these cocaine and sugar in the Coke drink all afternoon, and then in the evening they start partying again with their alcohol. And this went on for a while until they were all hooked on alcohol, cocaine, and sugar and coffee. And then the captain says, "Well, we got to be leaving. And, it's been a nice." And then the chief said, "Well, wait a minute, if you leave, how are we going to get our alcohol? How are we going to get our coffee and our sugar?" They of course, by giving them candy as well. And, "Man, we love this stuff. We never had any of this stuff before." And Coke, oh my gosh, they're drinking Coke. So the captain said, "Well, I can leave you some stuff here," but he said, "you're going to have to, buy it from me." And the chief said, "Well, what do you want?" And he said, "Well, I'd like to have that little chunk of land over there," which was a big chunk. And he said, "I'd like to have you guys clear it off, clear all the vegetation and plant a bunch of sugar cane, because that's where the sugar comes from. And you guys love that sugar." And they said, "Well, okay, so so here the chief sold a bunch of his land for a couple cases of whiskey, and he got the natives to clear the land and plant the sugar cane, and then also over on this other spot, clear the land, plant an orchard of banana trees, coconut trees." And then so when the merchant came back, of course, he brought more alcohol and Coke and candy and sugar and coffee. And he says, "Yeah, now we got to harvest all this stuff." And the natives said, "Oh my gosh, that's too much work. We just want to go to the beach." And he said, "Well, if you don't want to harvest it for me, well, then I can't just give this to you. You got to have money to buy this stuff." They go, well, how do we get money? And he said, well, you can work for me. I'll pay you a decent wage. And then at the end of the day, you take the money and you come over and you buy what you want, some wine or some rum or some Coke or some coffee or some sugar and some candy. So they said, okay. And man, to harvest sugar cane, that's a hard work. So these guys now, instead of going to the beach every day, picking a little bit of fruit here and there, and going down and catching some fish and some lobsters. No, they were spending their days working their butts off, harvesting this sugar cane and climbing these trees to harvest the coconuts and the bananas, and then loading them up on the ship. But then at night they were able to get their alcohol, and but then they find themselves, oh my gosh, now we're pretty tired to party, so they just kind of get drunk and pass out, and the next day they'd get up and have a cup of coffee and go back to work. So they were really just too played out to be partying anymore. And then around there, everybody was kind of sour because there was no more partying. And so the merchants wanted to buy more and more land, and the chief, he said, well, yeah, I can get all this cases of rum. And so he sold them a lot of land until finally they sold him so much land, and then the merchant fenced it all off and saying, hey, this is my land. You can't come on here and just help yourself to the coconuts and the pineapples and the bananas, because those are all mine now. And he was even buying the fish from me. He said, you go out and catch a bunch of fish, bring them in, and I'll pay you for the fish. You salt them so I can take them back to where I'm coming from. And so they were giving up more of or selling more of their fish away, and so they were having to fish longer hours just to get themselves a fish, and then they had to start buying their fruit, and then of course the merchants, oh man, we can have macadamia nuts growing here, and oh, the people of the world will just love them, and then the Hawaiians, they're going, wow, we just used to eat this stuff, for free. Now we're toiling and have to buy it all. So it's like we've given up our kingdom. We've given up our paradise. And that kind of goes right along with Adam and Eve. They gave up their paradise for what? For, a handful of money. And so I guess the moral of the story is the correlation between Adam and Eve in the Hawaii, because God didn't put us down here to toil. And but then when Adam screwed up, and God said, just don't eat that apple off, don't eat the fruit off of that tree of wisdom. And then of course that's how that snake, the serpent, talked, because God said, if you eat that fruit, you'll surely die. And so they talked to Eve into the snake said, hey, if you eat that fruit, you won't die. You'll gain the knowledge, and you'll be as smart as God. And so what did she do? She picked it and she ate it, and she didn't die. And so when Adam came, he said, what are you doing? God told us not to eat this. And she said, yeah, but now I got all this wisdom, and I'm smart as God. And he said, yeah, but he said you would die. And she goes, I'm not dead. And then he could hear God coming, and he said, oh my gosh, he's going to kill Eve, and I'm going to be back here all alone. So crazy Adam took a bite of the apple too to stay with his honey. And anyway, you know how the story goes after that. It's just, they didn't die right away, but they had spiritual death. So they no longer could walk and talk with God. That's where he left them. He wasn't leaving them before, but after that, he said, "Nah, you're gonna go this way. You're gonna do evil. Then yeah, you're gonna have to do life without me." And so, fortunately, we got to the point to where we became friends again with God, and now we are friends again with God. And he walks and talks with us if you want. If you don't want, no, you don't have to be friends with God. He's a gentleman. If you don't want to be friends with him, hey, he says, hey, you're a free agent. You don't have to, it's I recommend that you do, and life will be good. You won't have to toil. But you like to work, then go ahead and, make your, and a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I gotta work, 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 and one good idea from God, and you're making twice as much money and working half as hard. So, anyways, I hope I didn't go over, and I don't know whether this episode made you feel good. It probably didn't make the people that don't believe in God not feel too good. And I apologize about that. But here again, and we all love going to Hawaii now. And we all, so the world changed. Now we all became, capitalism is our God. And, we love our money. And, people say, oh, yeah, money's the root of all problems. That's not true. The love of money is the root of all problems. So if you love your money, you're going to have problems. But God didn't say you can't have money. He likes you to have a lot. He likes you to look at Abraham. He was rich. He had all the cattle and gold and silver. And he wants to bless you with that without toiling. Anyways, enough preaching. Hope I didn't lose a whole bunch more of you. Maybe I'm back down to 6 fans. Anyway, come back and see me tomorrow. I'll tell you a joke.